Hi friends, my name is Mohit. Welcome to my YouTube channel Tech Support. Today we will learn introduction of computers and we will learn what is a computer. So let's start. See, what is computer? So if I will talk about computers, then one thing comes in the mind. What is a computer? If we will say the definition of the computer, then we can say a computer is a machine or device that perform processes, calculation, and operation based on instructions provided by the software or hardware program. They are designed to execute applications and provide a variety of solutions by combining integrated hardware and software components. So, computer has the ability to accept the input data, process it, and then produce the output. Computer can also store the data for later uses and appreciate storage devices and retrieve whenever it is necessary. So we can say that computer is a combination of hardware, operating systems, and software. Now we can say what is a hardware, operating system, and software. So hardware is a physical parts or component of computer like motherboard, CPU, RAM, power supply, etc. All computer performance, speed, etc. depends on hardware. If you will use a good hardware, good MB of GB of RAM, then you can get the best speed of your computer. So mostly is, I think we can say that is a 100% it depends on the hardware because it depends, yes, the hardware. So if we will talk about the operating system, so in the simple language, we can say the OS is an interface between hardware and software. We can read or see the hardware details, running status with the help of operating system. Actually, what a hardware is doing anything, we can see the see or diagnose with the help of the operating system. And software can get installed on operating system. We cannot install software or application directly on the hardware. So this is a computer. So let's start. So friend, do you know what is the full form of the computer? So the definition is there. It's not only what is a computer. So we can say that the computer stands for C for common, O for operating, M for machine, P for purposely, U for useful, T for technological, and E for educational, and R for research. So we can say that its computer is common operating machine purposely used for technological and educational research. So, so we can have what is the types of computer? So if you will talk about type of computer, we can say the four types of computers are available. One is supercomputer, mainframe computer, mini computer, microcomputer, or personal computer. So what is a supercomputer? Supercomputer we can say are very expensive, very fast, and the most powerful computer in the world. Supercomputers are optimized to execute a few number of programs. This makes it possible for them to execute these few programs at a very high speed. Due to their inhibiting cost, they are used in high-end places like the scientific research centers. The supercomputer consists of thousands of processors, making it clocks very high speed measured by petaflops. Supercomputers are also very large in size due to their numerous part and component involved in their design. The second one is a mainframe computers. These are large and expensive computer types capable of supporting hundreds or even thousands of users simultaneously. Thus, they are mostly used by government and large organizations for bulk data processing, critical applications, transaction processing, sensors and industry and consumer statistics among the others. They are ranked below supercomputer. Third one is a mini computer. Mini computer are mid-sized computer. In terms of size and power, mini computer are ranked below mainframe. Mini computer is a multi-processing system capable of supporting hundreds of users. The use of the terms mini computer is diminishing, and now they have merged with the servers. So we have three types of servers comes in the market. One is a rack server, blade server, and a tower server. So that's the thing. And fourth one is the microcomputer or personal computer. Personal computer, we can say the laptop and desktop. So what is a personal computer? Personal computer is a computer designed to be used by one user at a time. The term microcomputer relates to the microprocessor which is used with a personal computer for the purpose of processing data and instruction codes. These are most common computer type since they are not very expensive. So we know that the laptops and desktops are not very expensive. So that's thing. So yeah. So we will talk about mini computer or personal computer, or we can see the our desktop or laptop in this video and lecture. So basically we will talk about the what is a laptop or desktop. So we will explain that. So then come to the next slide. Yeah. What is the hardware component of the computer? So we are talking about the this thing desktop now, and some of the parts are also using in the laptop. So first is the motherboard, the CPU is a central processing unit, random access memory RAM. These three are also using in a laptop. SMPS switch mode power supply, and this is also using this in a desktop, but we are also using the power adapter for a laptop. So that is also called, we can say that SMPS, because both role are same. They are converted AC power supply to DC power supply. So that's the thing. Hard disk, we are using in a both thing. Cabinet. We can say that we are also using a cabinet because the plastic part of the computer, we can say that a cabinet. Monitor, we can say that LCD screen of the laptop, and in a desktop we are also separate monitor. DVD-ROM or writer, both are available in the laptop, uh, available in the laptop and desktop, and keyboard and mouse. In laptop, we are using a touchpad and keyboard, and we have a separate keyboard. So all components are same in a laptop and desktop. That's the thing. And now, yes, this is a motherboard. This is a typical desktop motherboard, and actually, if we will talk about the definition about the motherboard, so we can say that a motherboard is a printed circuit board and a foundation of a computer that is the biggest board in the computer chassis. It allocates power and allow communication to the who and between the CPU, RAM, and all other computer hardware components. In the picture, you can see that the typical motherboard. This is a old motherboard, but this motherboard has all components which are available in the old and new or latest motherboard. We can say that. So let's start with this thing. Say this is a primary ATA ID controller where we were using the older hard disk, that is IDE means integrated device electronic, and this is a PATA port. This is a parallel AT attachment, and this is a floppy drive port. When we were using the floppy drive, this is 34 pin, this is a 40 pins. This is a super I controller. When we put the power supply on this thing from SMP on this socket, a 24 pins power socket, and this is a 4 thing. This is called source switch. So this super I controller distributes the supply to the all the motherboard. So this is super I controller, and this is a ATX power supply. And these are two bridge are also available. South bridge and north bridge is there. This is a CMOS battery. This is a 3-volt battery. And do you know, guys, when we were using the laptop, there are the time is showing the taskbar. When we power off the laptop or desktop, the time is continuously continue. So only because of this CMOS battery, and on these batteries are also available in the laptop. The same thing. This is a same ID controller PATA ID controller for a RAID technology. These are SATA devices. There are now SATA hard disk is coming in the market. So these are four SATA devices, and these are system panel connectors. And what is that? Actually, when if you use a cabinet or a desktop computer, when you power on of the switch, reset the switch, a hard disk light is coming, power light is coming only because of these panels are connectors. We put the cable for that on off switches, reset switch on this thing, and the diagram of this panel or comes with a motherboard. We can see that and put this cable. And there's a game and MIDI connector for this thing. There are serial port connector, jumpers. We can increase or decrease the processor speed, bus speed with the help of jumper. This is controller 1359 controller. This is a PCI slots where we can the PCI card. This is a AGP card, and this is a PCI Express card are there. And another thing is the audio input output devices is there, and this is a LAN port connector and USB connector where we can put a USB or LAN cable. This is a parallel printer port, and below that is a VGA port is there. Some motherboard comes with a HDMI, some ports come with a display port or a DVI. All depends on motherboard. And this is the inductors, capacitors, gigabyte LAN port. Header is there. This is we can also put it there, and this is the processor socket where we put the processor, the CPU on this thing. I will tell you how to put in the processor on this thing, and in upcoming slides. And these are four slots of RAM slots. We are also called in the bank. This is four DIMM slots, dual in memory module. This thing. So guys, there are some manufacturer are available in this thing in a motherboard. Asus, BioStar, Intel, Gigabyte Technology, MSI Technology. So these are we are using the motherboard of these companies. This is a Asus typical motherboard which we are showing in the slides. So another one is a central processing unit. Yes, this is a CPU. So CPU is a primary component of the computer that processes instructions. It runs the operating system and software or application constantly receiving input from the user or active software program. It processes the data and produce output which may store by an application or display on the screen. The CPU contains at least one processor which is actual chip inside the CPU that perform calculations. Earlier, most CPU had one processor, but now it is common for a single CPU to have at least two processor, which we can say the processing core. A CPU with a two processing core is called a dual core CPU, and if you have a four cores, there is a quad core, high speed CPU with a hexa core which contains a six CPU, or even eight core is an octa core processor. A computer may also have more than one CPU in a one motherboard. And, so multi-core, for example, we can say that uh, sorry. Yeah, a server has a server with a two hexa-core CPU has a total 12 processor or 12, or a server has a two octa-core CPU has a total number of 16 processor. So in the picture, you can see processor and processor slot in the motherboard. Sorry, come back. So where is that? Yeah, in this picture, we can see that the processor slot and processor, and we need to put the processor on the motherboard in a correct position. Otherwise, processor could be damaged or motherboard could be damaged. Here in the processor, you can see the arrow mark. See this arrow mark in this area and this area. arrow mark, and a cut shape in the processor slot. This thing is there, and so we can put this processor on this way. So uh, after that, we need to put silicon when we put the processor in this thing and lock this processor slot, this thing, lock the processor. After put the processor on this thing, and after put the silicon gel on this area, and this silicon gel comes always come with the processor, and after we will need to put on the processor fan on it, and we can put the power cable to run the this thing processor fan. We can put the power slot is there. There should be a 4-pin CPU fan, this combination, and this port slot should be available anywhere in the motherboard. But I'm telling about this printer because I have showed this printer. So we need to this processor on a correct way. This arrow mark will come on this arrow mark. This arrow mark will come in this thing on this area, and after that lock this slot and put the silicon gel on this area, and after that put the this thing the processor fan on this thing, and we need to lock. There should be a lock is there. There is a locking point in there in the motherboard. Sorry, this thing 1, 2, 3, 4. When we put the CPU fan on it and we need to lock from this thing, there is a lock is there, and you can get the instruction how to lock this CPU. The instruction will come with the processor box, so you can use this thing. So that's a simple, and this is a RAM. Third point thing is RAM. RAM is very necessary for the running the computer. This is a desktop RAM and this is a laptop RAM. We can put the this RAM on these slots. This is a bank slot, and the 4 slots is in this motherboard, and we can put the RAM this on the laptop slots. So we can do this. So this is a RAM, and so what is the RAM? The RAM is a random access memory, and we cannot run any program, any file stream, web streaming, streaming from the web without RAM. So we can also say that RAM is a temporary memory, storage memory, or a primary memory. If computer will go power off, so when we are working on us in any laptop, Word file or Excel file, we can say that, and sometimes the computer goes power off, so all data is removed. So why it's happened? Because when we typing any data working on our PowerPoint, Word, Excel, or Outlook, anywhere, when it's only data is stored in the RAM. Because it's a temporary storage, RAM storage, and when power is goes off, so data is already removed. So that's a RAM. And when we save the file, is the data is go to the RAM to the hard disk, is a storage drive. And if you talk about the RAM history, so earlier in 90s, late 90s or early 2000s, we were using SRAM or a DRAM or HDRAM. SRAM was a static random access memory, and DRAM was a dynamic random access memory, and SDRAM is synchronous dynamic random access memory. Nowadays, the most common type of DDR RAM, and there are various iterations or repeatedly this thing, including DDR2, DDR3, DDR4, DDR5. The version is upgrading DDR. What is a DDR? DDR stands for a double data rate and allows multiple files transfer at the same time. So that's a RAM. We can say that. Now we will talk about, yeah, power supply. Hmm. Their power supply is, what is the full form as power supply? The switch mode power supply. So, what is the SMPS? So we can talk about, if we can talk about the SMPS. So SMPS is an electronic circuit that converts AC power to the DC power. Basically, SMPS supply the power to motherboard and other devices like hard disk, DVD-ROM, cabinet, fan, etc. Actually, SMPS convert 230 volt AC power supply into a 12 volt or 5 volt to DC power supply, and after that provide the DC supply to the motherboard and other devices. Computer always run on 12 volt or 5 volt DC power supply. We need to connect SMPS cable with the motherboard. These cable connect to the motherboard. These are Molex connector. These are the SATA connector. This is the ATX power supply, which I show to this. This power supply will connect on this motherboard on this thing, and there is one source which is there in SMPS. We need to connect in this point, in this area, and yeah, yeah, this one the source switch connect 4 pin, and this is a 424 pin. We put it there, and we can use this connector, or if we have a SATA device, SATA hard disk or SATA DVD writer, we can use this device SATA controller, or if we have IDE one, so we can use this one. This is a Molex connector, we can see in a typical way, and the Berg is a floppy one, but we are not using floppy right now. Sorry. So that's the thing. So one thing, important thing, which I need to share with you, and that just excuse me. Yeah, we need to choose best quality of SMPS before buying any computer. Why I'm saying that? Because SMPS is also main cause of hanging of the system while working. Actually, sometimes DC power supply could be dropped for few milliseconds, not able to provide the power supply to the motherboard or hard disk, and computer got stuck and go to the hang mode. It's only happened because some cheaper SMPS companies has used a low quality of capacitor, IC resistor, etc. These are capacitors. We can say that to some of the companies. So why? So they are not able to. They have some cuts or breaks on between this thing, and yeah, so that's why cut the power supply and for a few milliseconds and system got stuck. So SMPS is the most important point to hanging the system. So we need to buy a good power supply and this thing, and how SMPS is working. We put the power cable on this slot, and on off switch is there, and power supply goes to the board, and this is a fuse is there. Sometimes fuse is not working, or fuse got so we need to change this fuse, and after that the power goes to the capacitor or IC resistor, and it its output is provide the output on the 12 volt at DC power supply, at 5 volt DC power supply. That's a thing. And now other one is a hard disk. This is a typical hard disk for a desktop. This is an internal or external hard disk top. And hard disk is the device where we can store the data. If we will talk about the definition, that is a hard disk drive and hard disk drive or fixed drive, and an electromechanical data storage device that use magnetic storage to store and retrieve digital data using one or more rigid, rapidly rotating platters, coating, and magnetic material. A hard drive is a hardware component that store all of your digital content, your document, picture, video, music, program, application, preference, and operating system. Whatever you want, you can store the data. And as I told you earlier, also the hard disk could be internal or external. And this is, we can say that it's also called the secondary memory of the computer. When we save our data while working on the Word or Excel file, they store on the hard disk. Otherwise, working on the, and that's in RAM. Yeah. So these are two hard disks in the picture. As I told you, this is an internal hard disk where which we can, this is SATA hard disk. This is a power slot. This is a data cable slots, and where we can put the jumper if required. And this is a hard disk drive casing which we can use. Another one, yeah, another one is a cabinet. We can also say that cabinet is the fatherboard. Why we can say the fatherboard? Because motherboard will get the power supply to all the components. We can say that like mother always take care of their children, so motherboard is always supply the data or communication between the children's. Motherboard children means you can say other device, hard disk, RAM, processor, everything, and all these components store and we can fix in the cabinet. So all these data, so that's why and like a father, father can protect the family and this thing. So we can say the father board or jokes apart, but when in 2002 when we are starting this thing, starting my career, so that time we are saying there's a father board. Why? That's why I'm sharing the idea and share the example. Why it's saying the father board, because it contains all the hardware components this of computer. So that's why it's called the fatherboard. This is a power switch is there. This is audio and this is USB. This is a power HDD light or reset switch. All these cable goes to the connector, goes to the that connector panel which I told you earlier in this slot. This thing. So that's why these buttons are working. This thing. And another one, yes, that's the thing. And another one is a monitor. Some of the people say this is a computer, but this is not a computer. This is only display what is happening in the desktop on their screen. So so there are three types of monitors that are coming in the market. One is the CRT, LCD, LED. CRT is a cathode ray tube. LCD is a liquid crystal display, and LED is light emitting decode. So, so these type of monitors are coming in the market, and we can use the monitor as per our convenience. If we, but LED is the latest monitor, so we can use LED monitor, and there are lots of common display interface in this in the monitor. So when we were using the CRT monitor, so there are the mostly common display interface was available in the VGA. VGA means video graphic array, and that is a DVI. DVI means digital visual interface, and DP port was the display port, and HDI means high definition multimedia interface. Yeah, so that's a thing. That's the thing. So if your desktop has a VGA port, so we can use a VGA monitor, and if you have your desktop has a DVI port for a display, then you can use a DVI monitor. And if you have HDMI or DisplayPort, if you so you can use HDMI or DisplayPort. There are another way, common display are also available. That is right now is a this USB Type C Thunderbolt. So now latest monitor is coming with the type USB Type C. So if you have motherboard has a USB Type C port, so you can use a display USB Type C monitor. So that's the thing. So yeah. So other devices we can also use a DVD-ROM or DVD writer. So with the help of DVD, we can read or write the DVD. These are internal DVD, and this is the external DVD or USB. This thing, and we all know what is the use of USB keyboard mouse and USB mouse, and the before that USB keyboard and mouse, we were using the PS2 keyboard and mouse, and before that, yeah, that's a keyboard and mouse, and yeah. Another slide is the available operating system in the market. So when we can say that when our computer is ready or assemble our computer and install then we need to install the operating system on it. And nowadays, four types of, or there are lots of operating system are available in the market, but there are the mostly common using, if we can use up operating system, that is four. First is the Microsoft operating system. This is Windows 10 is using. Right now, Windows 10 2020 2004 version is available in the market. Is the latest one. Another one, the Linux, Red Hat Linux is available, Ubuntu is available, SUSE, Linux is available, lots of versions are available. Unix operating system are also available, and Mac operating system is also available in the market. So Mac we have a separate hardware. for a Mac, but we can use Linux, Unix, and Microsoft operating system on this type of hardware. Uh, yes, so this is a thing. Another thing, yeah, once our operating system installed on the computer, and then we need to install some common software in this in the system, and that is Microsoft Office, Word, combination of Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, Access. So this thing. So we need to install this Microsoft Office after installing the operating system, and Adobe Reader for reading the PDF file, WinZip for compress the file or unzip or unzip the file. Google Chrome is a commonly used, but if you will use a Microsoft Windows 10, so Edge is already available, Internet Explorer is also available, but most of the people are using the Google Chrome, so we can download and install the Google Chrome. The most important common use and the antivirus, so protect our system from the hackers or viruses, or so we can use the best antivirus which is available in the market. You can choose your antivirus as per your choice or requirement. And another one is a Microsoft Skype or Teams. Why I have mentioned the Microsoft Skype and Team or Zoom, we can see the Zoom or online web conferencing application, because nowadays, you know that due to COVID, ID 19, the all the people or students or office people are working from home. So we need to communicate with our team members, our school teachers, with a video conference system. So we can use Skype, Teams, and Zoom, and lots of other applications are available in the market. So we can use this thing. So and we can also install other software as per our requirement or this thing. And that's a common overall. We can say that a computer is nothing if we will understand what is the hardware used in the desktop, and what we how uh, we can this thing how to install this thing. So it's very easy to give the primary, we can say that primary diagnostic with the computer. So if you will talk about diagnostic, so I will tell you what we can do if something is happen and some issue comes to the your desktop or laptop, or so sometime we can say that sometimes we can say that the power is not coming in a desktop. So we put the power cable, and we on the desktop, the power is not coming on the desktop. So what we do on the first steps? So we can do one thing. We can unplug the power plug from the motherboard, and we put there is two cable are available in the 24 pin socket, and we also need to remove the 4 pin socket. And once this is out, so we what we can do, we can put the pin, or we can say the short to the green cable and a black cable, which is available in the this thing. I can show you where is this thing in the SMPS section. See, there is a one green cable is coming in this thing, and the black one is there. We need to the pin on that green cable slot on this thing, and black cable slot. If and power on the supply. If power is coming on the this thing SMPS and fan is working, then it could be issue with the motherboard. And if power is not coming, then it could be issue with the power supply. So we can use any iron pin. So we can just need to put the pin of one and is to the green cable slot, and another one is to the this thing black one is slot. So when we put this thing, and so if power is not coming, so we the issue with the SMPS. If power is coming, then issue could be issue with the super IO controller, because when we put the power supply on this thing, the super IO controller supply the power or distribute the power to the motherboard. So that's the issue with this thing. Another and after that we can also check the RAM slots. Sometimes power is coming and not working is the issue with the RAM, or there is a dust in the this thing RAM slots, or we can say in the bank. We can remove the RAM and just clean this slot and put it again. And sometime issue is come with uh, the SMPS power cable, this thing, Molex or SATA slots, this cable, we need to change this cable for the hard disk or another thing. So there are different things we need to put this thing, and so we can do the basic troubleshooting before calling the engineer, because due to CUID or lockdown, we should avoid to come someone to inside our home. So that's my video. I hope you like my video and you understand. I just tell you what is the basic of the computer, what is a computer. It's not a complete details. So I hope if you like my video, if you like my video, please share and subscribe my video. Thank you. Thank you very much.